Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today we're going to be talking about a very, very important topic. We're going to be talking about menopause. Now, this is something that many people don't talk about, we shy away from, and there are so many different ideas around menopause that are wrong or that needs to be changed a little bit. Now, menopause is something that I first experienced when my mom went through it. And then many friends after that who were going through perimenopause and then menopause. And then I understood such a different journey their life was going to be taking and all the issues and the worries that they had along with it. And with us, we have an expert, Dr. Amrinder Bajaj. And she's just written a fantastic book called Live Your Best Life, Understanding Menopause for a Wiser, Happier, and Healthier You. I was just reading it and I love the way she's written it in the form of stories and very exciting. And it's full of lovely, she's added fun to the entire story. So I think that is a very good way of putting this topic across. Dr. Bajaj, thank you and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure being with you all.
Thank you. Dr. Bajaj, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a gynecologist, an obstetrician and gynecologist. I did my post-graduation from All India Institute Medical Sciences. And if I want to brag a bit, I got a gold medal too, President's Silver Medal. And I was the head of the department of Max Pitampura when I was in Delhi. But after my husband expired, my son lives in Gurgaon, so I've shifted here. And at present, I'm affiliated to Fortis Memorial Research Institute, Gurgaon.
Lovely. Doctor, how did you decide to write this book? Where did the thought come from?
There were so many women in this age group. They say the practice ages with you. So when I was young, I was more into obstetrics. Then I grew older. Then the patients also became older with me. And then they age with you. So they had all these problems. And I was not fed up, but I was tired of answering the same questions over and over again. Then it surprised me. I was to give talks on menopause to the lay public and to even the doctors. So even the doctors would come and huddle with me later on. And I don't know, I'm having pain while having intercourse, or I'm having this urge to pass urine and all that. So I think such a book was in the order of the day.
Fantastic. So it was one book to answer all these questions that you had been getting.
Repeatedly being asked.
So, doctor, in your entire practice, have you noticed that there's a change in the way women's bodies are functioning from the start of your practice to now? The reason I'm asking this is we just did a podcast last week on how menstruation is starting earlier and earlier over this entire century, right? Mm-hmm. A century ago, it used to start at age 17. Now it's starting almost at the age of 12. Is there a difference that you've noticed across your practice as well when it comes to menopause or menstruation?
See, surprisingly, those who have early menarche, it's called menarche, the start of the first period, they usually have a late menopause. It's not कि जल्दी शुरू हुआ तो जल्दी खत्म हो जाएगा. It's not like that. And on the other hand, the fertility clinics are flooded with women with premature menopause. They delay marriages or they delay childbearing because of career or various other reasons. And then like instant 2-minute noodles, they want to have a baby immediately, the cycle they try. That does not happen. And then after that, they go from doctor to doctor and then they try and then they realize that the ovaries have started packing up very early. We are not sure of the exact reason, but could be the pollution, could be the stress, could be a lot of other things. And then we find that the ovarian reserve is so low. There's a thing called AMH, that levels are low. The woman is born with a certain number of follicles in the body. So this is the only organ in the body that's functioning before the woman expires herself. So these are the two issues that are either they get very late menopause or they're very early menopause, which is not conducive to fertility, one thing. And secondly, there could be issues because of premature menopause.
And what are the kinds of issues that happen with premature menopause? Like what typically takes place in a woman?
See, premature menopause is a woman is said to have attained premature menopause if she stops having a period before the age of 40 years. And menopause is it doesn't have a period for at least 12 months, 1 year. So in that case, whatever issues that were to arise after menopause, like heart diseases, like fractures, cancers, and all the other age-related metabolic diseases like hypertension, diabetes, thyroid, they will occur at least a decade earlier and they will decrease her lifespan also. And if she's trying for a baby, that also will be a big issue. So both these are the two things that cannot
Doctor,
occur.
from reading your book, I understood that there are two very interesting aspects of this. One is the physical, the medical aspect of what happens, and the second is the social aspect. How you feel as a woman, as how you feel in society, how you feel as a family. There's one aspect of the medical part, the other is the social part. How do you see that social life changing, or the personal life of a person changing, maybe through perimenopause, towards menopause, and after?
See, I could divide our population into the urban and the rural.
Lovely.
The rural people are not too worried. They take it casually in the stride as a routine, as a part of life. But we are so westernized and so youth oriented that we think it's just a stepping stone into old age, and you will be called an old hag or a prune, dried up prune or something, which is not true.
Correct.
Because the ovaries don't stop functioning immediately. And these women get so, the first story also I wrote about a woman who was so scared of menopause that she wanted to reiterate her youth by having an affair with a younger person, which is just not done. There's a beauty to every stage of your life, and we should just take it in our stride as a gateway, rite of passage to a whole new world. See, as with every milestone in a woman's life, be it puberty, be it pregnancy, there are hormonal upheavals that have consequences. But the equilibrium is restored sooner or later after pregnancy or puberty, while the depletion of hormones after menopause is permanent. So those people whose job it is to look good, like film stars and others, they are really, because their livelihood depends on that, or high corporates, or the young people who want to look young in general, high socialites and all that, they would try all these Botox and facelifts and all that. The real thing is that you lift your spirits. It's your attitude that should change. You should be happy, healthy, and like you say, inculcate very good habits so that you are comfortable in your skin, even if it is old or wrinkled. That's important.
We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side. Welcome back. All right, let's jump into the conversation. Doctor, this is such an important point. How do you drive this home with your patients? Like one is saying, but like, do you give them like tips on what they should do to remain happy, young and youthful?
It's the attitude. I always give the example about two people who developed insulin-dependent diabetes. So one was a woman complaining all the time, "Hi, मैंने रोज इंजेक्शन लगता है, मेरे को ये नहीं खाना, मुझे वो नहीं खाना, और मेरी जिंदगी बर्बाद हो गई है." And people stopped sitting with her after a while because she was always grumbling. And the other person, he thanked the doctor who invented insulin, took his shot and went on with his work. It's just the attitude. So it's the attitude that has to change. They should be lucky that they've become old enough to reach menopause. There are people who die young. And there's so much they have to do right now that they could not do before due to childbearing, peak of their careers, elders in the house whom they had to look after. The children have gone to explore their own lives, their own professions and sexualities. The elders have gone to Netherlands. And the husband is so busy in his own job. You've got so much of time for yourself. You can do whatever you want. I swim at this age. I write. Writing is a passion for me. And I keep telling them, be creative. Exercise your mind as much as your body. Join groups.
That is, I think, the key for it, right? Like the way that you're saying it, keep doing different things. I remember a friend of mine, learn something new, exactly. And I was saying, I remember a friend of mine. So there are two stories here. One friend who was sulking when her menopause was coming. She was like, "Oh, everything's over, life is over." That exactly like you said. And the other friend, we actually had a party for when she agreed that now menopause has hit. Like you said, that wait for 1 year after your last period.
Yeah.
So after that 1 year after last period, we actually had a full party for her, saying that this is your new rite of passage into a new life altogether.
Yeah. That's important.
It's like we celebrate puberty, we don't celebrate this.
Yeah, that's true. I had sent a poem to Zolak about the habits. I wrote it specifically for your podcast that the woman on menopause should inculcate. But whenever you want, we can read that out also.
Oh, please. This is the perfect time.
Okay.
You have it in front of you?
Yeah. I wrote it just 2 days back when this podcast was confirmed. And because it was all about habits, so that is what I wrote for you all. I've written one on menopause that's in the book also, the one in the beginning. that you must have read, I think.
I did.
Menopause and menopause. So now this is specifically for you and your podcast.
Yay, thank you.
Mantra for the menopausal: eat right, sleep tight, exercise light. Don't forget that you still have a future bright. But relaxation, breathing, meditation and yoga, ये सब भी तुमको करना होगा. Keep old friends but learn things new to make life retain its interest in you. Grow a garden, paint, travel abroad, and for the gift of life, thank the Lord. What makes life worth living is your attitude, as we have all recently discussed, your positivity and your sense of gratitude. Love and make love with abandon and passion, though there are some difficulties with this, which I'll mention later. Love and make love with abandon and passion, for at no age does bliss go out of fashion. Though for health checkups you must go yearly to catch, contain and cure diseases early. However minor, don't push any symptom aside. Reach out to your doctor and let her decide whether it must be taken seriously or ignored, for if caught early, even cancer can be cured. Live life to the fullest. There's life in you yet. Believe me when I say, this is the best that life can get.
Dr. Bajaj, that was lovely. You hit all the right spots on this one, and there's so much to discuss with this poem going forward. Thank you so much for writing it.
Thank you.
Doctor, you mentioned enjoy your life, take it easy, go with it, right?
Yeah.
And you also touched upon the aspect of have sex with abandon. I love that aspect of it. So what are the things that people can now look forward to after their menopause? Like you said, all these aspects. What are the things that, we should be focusing on instead of saying,
no blood loss, no pain during periods, no premenstrual syndrome, that PMS that troubles people, no need for contraception, no childbearing, no fear of childbearing or child rearing. Having said that, you have to use contraception for at least 2 years after menopause. Sometimes an erratic ovulation does occur and people can get pregnant. And then you've got...
That's what happened to my grandmother with my mother. Yeah. And my mom was just telling me this story when I was discussing this book with her. And she was saying the doctors used to believe that she was pregnant for the longest time. This is obviously many, many years ago, 80 years ago. It was very interesting.
Good, because you've come out of that. No? That's nice.
There, see you go. Erratic ovulation. Here I am.
Yeah. So then they have all the time in the world, the privacy in the world, but there could be certain issues that can interfere. That these are the positives that they can regarding sex. But there are certain issues that may arise which need to be addressed, and they can be addressed. So they don't have to shy away or be embarrassed and to come to the doctor कि इस उम्र में भी इनको करना है कि पढ़िए. It's not like that. So because it increases a sense of well-being. It increases the closeness between partners also. So it's good to be sexually active as long as you can.
Correct. And you had said that there are some issues that also can come up. What would those be?
First and foremost is vaginal dryness. Because of the depletion of estrogens, the vagina, which is elastic and moist, it becomes thin and dry. So while intercourse, the friction is so excruciating, painful, like it's like grating live skin. So the husband is put off because the wife he thinks she's not interested in me or sex anymore, and she cannot bear the thought of going through all that again. And that is just a simple remedy. First, you can try lubricants. If it's mild, the dryness is just mild, the lubricants will be good enough. Otherwise, we'll come to maybe HRT later. But one of the reasons for needs for HRT is vaginal dryness. And she doesn't have to pop in a pill because pill has side effects on all over the body. There's just a vaginal estrogen cream that she has to apply, and every night for 3 weeks and then twice a week for about 3 months. So it becomes very comfortable. Then there are others who have decreased libido because they've got other diseases associated with it. They've got hot flashes and cold sweats. They've got sleep disturbances. They've got mood swings. And so they're not mentally prepared, or they don't want to have sex because of that. If those things are, and again, this dryness also. So if they are cured, then this thing. And surprisingly, some women, especially those with hirsutism hair here, there, and all that. No. They have an increased sex desire after menopause. That is because every woman has a certain amount of testosterone, male hormone, circulating in her body, which is responsible for her libido. Libido is like sex desire. So once the estrogen levels fall, the testosterone gets the upper hand. That's why you must have seen Budia with hair growth. Of course, now people like us remove it and all that, but others don't. Know? So those women are also more inclined into having sex. So that's
very interesting. I like the way that you can actually see the testosterone and the change that takes place in that. Dr. Perimenopause, can you talk a little bit about that also and the symptoms that come with it? Because that is the first stage that women get exposed to what's going to happen to them.
See, like menstruation in Indian women is usually over by 45 to 52 years of age. But there's a varying period. It could vary from months or years also, that the hormone levels begin to wane. They don't disappear suddenly. So that can cause erratic sort of ovulation, erratic production of hormones, which can create chaos. So this chaos can be in the form of the normal natural menopause should be like delayed, scanty periods, and then gradually it stops. 1.5 महीने 2 महीने में आया, 5 days की जगह 3 दिन हो गया, and then gradually. Some people it stops immediately also, that's also fine. But those who have profuse bleeding, they pass clots, they have frequent menstruation after 15 days also it's coming, they have intermenstrual bleeding, they have post-coital bleeding, is bleeding after sex. So that also everyone, that could be due to, some of them could be attributed to menopause, but everything that occurs at that time should not be considered कि ये तो menopause से पहले होता ही है. The neighbors will tell you, your granny will tell you everything, कोई बात नहीं चलता. That is not true. Because especially this spotting in between period, it's not always due to cancers or something like that you have to be scared. There could be other things, polyps, fibroids, erosions, a lot of other things. But if you have post-coital bleeding, that could be a sign of a cancer cervix. So that should never be ignored, and that people don't come to us because of embarrassment. Secondly, intermenstrual bleeding is also not acceptable. Thirdly, we'll talk about later, post-menopausal bleeding, the bilkul bhi nahi, don't take that in your stride. You must come to the doctor. So if you're having all these things, you don't have to get scared about it, but you have to go for a consult. And to diagnose the cause, it could be just hormonal disturbance, which you can treat with hormone tablets, or it could be a small polyp or a fibroid that is amenable to treatment. But we have to have it in writing. Do a DNC and see it's not a precancerous condition, which could be 100% cured, or early cancer, which again could be cured 100%. Don't wait till it's too late and attribute everything that occurs to menopause, perimenopause.
Very interesting. And during perimenopause, do you also have low libido, dryness, etc., or that mainly happens after?
They can all start having hot flushes and cold sweats even that time, and they're so confused. Ki ye kya ho raha? Abhi the periods are and still I'm having all this. So and then some people are bloating because the hormones go haywire. Suddenly they'll rise, suddenly they'll come down, and then the body is confused. They are confused, and that's what. So they start having menopausal symptoms in the perimenopausal period. And they might need hormones to regulate the cycle, provided we are sure that there's no cancer after certain investigations. And they might be all right till they reach that age.
Fantastic. All right, so that was Dr. Bajaj, and we were talking about how we can start understanding menopause. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about what are the different things that you can do to make menopause and perimenopause easier. Now, like I said, this podcast is very important, not just for women going through this, but also the families and loved ones, so they understand what their mother or wife is going through. Now, if you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am at Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. We have a brand new habit coaching online course, quizzes, videos, and a lot more on the website awesome180.com. So check it out now.